In an educational setting, faculty members are providing an overview of the general beliefs held by Republicans and Democrats, highlighting that Republicans typically prioritize lower taxes and less government intervention in the economy while emphasizing individual responsibility, whereas Democrats tend to advocate for higher taxes on the wealthy to fund social programs and greater government involvement in addressing economic inequality. Additionally, on social policies, Republicans often emphasize traditional values and personal liberties, while Democrats generally support progressive reforms aimed at ensuring civil rights and social justice for marginalized communities. The discussion continues as faculty members point out that Republicans often advocate for gun rights and less restrictive immigration policies, emphasizing national security, whereas Democrats typically call for stricter gun control measures and comprehensive immigration reform aimed at providing pathways to citizenship. Moreover, in terms of education funding, Republicans usually favor school choice and charter schools, while Democrats often push for increased funding for public schools and universal access to early childhood education. As the analysis deepens, it is noted that in terms of healthcare, Republicans typically focus on free market solutions and reducing government spending on health programs, whereas Democrats generally support expanding access to healthcare through public options or reforms like the Affordable Care Act, which aims to improve insurance coverage for all citizens. Furthermore, in discussions about climate change, Republicans often prioritize economic growth and energy independence through fossil fuels, while Democrats tend to advocate for aggressive policies aiming to combat climate change through renewable energy investments and international agreements. The faculty discussion emphasizes that Republicans often argue for protecting personal freedoms and limiting government roles in individuals' lives, whereas Democrats commonly assert the necessity of social safety nets to support vulnerable populations, reflecting differing philosophies about the role of government. Additionally, as they analyze public opinion trends, they observe that while Republican constituents frequently prioritize economic growth and tax reductions, Democratic supporters are more likely to express concerns regarding wealth inequality and advocate for progressive taxation as a means to finance public services and initiatives. In their examination of foreign policy, the faculty notes that Republicans typically prioritize a strong military presence and assertive national security measures, often advocating for a unilateral approach when deemed necessary, while Democrats generally prefer diplomatic solutions and multilateral cooperation through international organizations to address global challenges. Additionally, when discussing healthcare policies, students are encouraged to explore how Republicans often seek to lower drug prices through market competition, whereas Democrats may support government interventions aimed at regulating prices to ensure wider access to necessary medications. The discussion shifts to social issues where faculty members highlight that Republicans typically advocate for more restrictive policies regarding abortion and emphasize traditional family structures, while Democrats generally support reproductive rights and LGBTQ+ rights, advocating for inclusive policies. Furthermore, as students delve into education reform, it becomes evident that Republicans often promote accountability through standardized testing, whereas Democrats usually argue for equitable funding and resources to ensure all schools provide quality education, regardless of socioeconomic status. As the lecture progresses, faculty members engage students in a rigorous debate about the economic implications of the tax plans proposed by both parties, explaining that Republicans typically advocate for lower corporate taxes and reduced government spending, while Democrats often promote higher taxes on the wealthy to fund public services and reduce deficits. Additionally, during a mock congressional session, students actively discuss the strengths and weaknesses of various healthcare initiatives, reflecting on the distinct approaches each party has towards expanding coverage and managing healthcare costs. In their exploration of immigration policies, faculty members explain that Republicans generally emphasize strict border security measures and enforcement to deter illegal immigration, while Democrats often advocate for comprehensive immigration reform that includes pathways to citizenship for undocumented immigrants. Concurrently, students participate in an engaging activity where they use sticky notes to share their perspectives on environmental policies, recognizing that Republicans typically prioritize economic growth and energy independence through fossil fuels, whereas Democrats urge for significant investments in renewable energy and rigorous regulations to combat climate change.